Welcome back to the Samantha Show. I'm your host, Samantha. You can call me Sam. Just don't call me Sammy. Welcome back. Man, how you guys doing? Sweet, sweet summertime. The summer vibes, they're here. We have this really great babysitter this summer for Gracie. Her name is Kennedy. She entertains Gracie, and I came home from a work meeting, and they were out back on the trampoline. They had the sprinkler going. We had a friend over. Summertime's just, it's the best. It's like the best energy. Even if you have to go to work or anything, like just seeing the kids out and the vibes. I'm here for the summer vibes, and we have all the things happening this summer. Like the plate is full, but enjoying every single second of it, which I think is just so amazing. We actually, not too long ago, me and Gracie, we went and saw the new movie Inside Out 2, which I really enjoyed. I kind of want to talk a little bit about this movie. It just impacted me so much. And I really want to kind of break it down and talk a little bit about this idea of anxiety and panic specifically, which I have a history of, and that kind of evolution for me and where I'm at today. But you know what else I was thinking too? I started this new workout a couple months ago called Shred 415. So it's similar to kind of like an Orange Theory where you have a portion of the class is spent on a treadmill and then another portion of the class is spent like lifting weights, and it's 415, 4 segments of 15 minutes. So you do like weights, tread, or vice versa. Really, really loving this workout. It's got me this morning. I was like in class and I was like hustling and I was working hard, and they do some like speed and agility work too, which I do not enjoy. Like, who likes speed and agility work? Nobody. Hit style, like just a lot of that like quick movement type things. That's typically not my jam. Like, I like to ride bikes. I like to lift weights. Like, I like dance fitness, but like, burpees, no thanks. But at Shred, like, I like to like dominate it. I love the environment there. I talked about it on the Fitness Experience podcast, what really makes a great fitness experience. You'll have to go back and listen to that because I credit a lot of that inspiration from that episode from the experience that I've been having attending classes at Shred 415. But anyway, I was doing class this morning and I was like, man, I am in the best shape of my life. I was like mid burpee or like mid bicep curl or whatever I was doing, plank, and I'm like, damn, I'm like really strong. Like, I feel really like I am in the best shape of my life. And I started kind of laughing at myself because I vividly remember several moments in my life where I was like, I'm in the best shape of my life. And it's like every time I feel like I've reached that point, then I cycle through something. A couple years later, something happens. I'm like, no, now I'm in the best shape of my life. And I think what I just was thinking about that, because I was thinking back, man, I used to do pole fitness. So I used to do like aerial fitness. It's like the stripper pole, but that's not what it was. Like, I wasn't taking my clothes off, but like using a lot of upper body strength in that, and silks, climbing silks, doing flip-de-doos on silks, doing dance fitness, cycling at that time. I was like, I'm in the best shape of my life. I remember that very vividly. It was like right before I had Gracie. So that would have been 2015, 2016. And then I also remember being in the best shape of my life when I first started at Cycle Bar, and I had just gotten into teaching Cycle Bar, had passed my second audition and was getting into teaching. I was like, no, now I'm in the best shape of my life. And then I remember, when was the other time after COVID had started? So like the end of 2020, early 2021, I was working with a dietitian. I had nothing to do because of COVID. So I was like working out all the time, lifting weights at home and stuff, doing a lot of HIIT training, online classes. I was like, now I'm in the best shape of my life. And now here we are. I currently hold the title of Mrs. Ohio American. I'm preparing for Mrs. American. Been teaching cycling for a long time, but then recently changed up my workout, started going to Shred 415, just, trying something different here. And I'm like, now I'm in the best shape of my life. Best shape ever. And I was thinking too, like, what defines the best shape of your life? Because I don't weigh the least that I've ever weighed or anything like that. Like, I just mean best shape of my life. Like, I feel super strong, quick, and that I have strong cardiovascular system. So truly, like, the definition of like what I would consider physical health when it comes to muscular strength, endurance, all this stuff, I'm in the best shape of my life. That's what I was getting at too. But my point being, folks, we can always level up. We can always level up. You think you're in the best at something, there's always room to grow. That's my point here. That was that long-winded way to say, you think you're the best at something, there's still somewhere further you can go, that you can reach further, which to me is very exciting because I love reaching for things. I love doing things. I don't need any of my family or my husband to hear me say this, but I literally, like, I had a moment because I'm on this pageant journey, right? This trajectory and this pageant journey, which has been amazing. I think when I won Mrs. Ohio American, though, then I had this confidence, which I talk so much about confidence, but I had this huge confidence boost. I was like, what will I do next? What am I going to do next? What else do I want to bite off and chew? Like, what other goals do I want to set for myself? It's a very empowering feeling, I think, right? But I think I'm just in my mindset. I'm like, damn, we can always be leveling up. We can always be reaching. We can always be learning. We can always be trying something new. We can taking something on. So I think that that's really exciting and really fun. And that's really, for me, what gives me passion in life is the level up. I want to enjoy what I'm trying to level up in. So I love fitness. So I love group fitness. So I enjoy leveling up in fitness, but taking on new challenges and things like that. So very long-winded to say, folks, keep reaching. Always keep reaching. You're in the best of the best state. And also, too, I think what's really important to know is we cycle. We cycle through things in life. So, you know, every best shape of my life moment was followed by a year or two where I was maybe physically healthy, but I wasn't in the best shape of my life, but I was fine. And then we got back to that, like, really strong part. I think we are so hard on ourselves as humans, especially when it comes to our physical body and where we're at. Women, as we have babies and we become moms and we transition in life, and we're also juggling our career and all this stuff, like, we cycle through our physical health and how much we're working out and how well we're eating, and that's okay. Like, give yourself a little grace here, okay? There's also times and motivation in life, like different reasons that we get into the best shape. Like, a lot of women really, like, buckle down for their wedding, right? Or on the other end of the spectrum, let's say you get a divorce, right? Like, sometimes people, like, you know, drop weight, change, or get back into shape during that time or transition. Like, you know, I'm not saying that's not where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Joe, you fine. We're fine. But, you know, different things in life kind of help us. Like, you know, we go through phases, and give yourself grace. It's normal. It's normal. Got to remind myself that too. Like, it's normal to go up, down, around, be strong, feel less strong, eat well, eat less well, enjoy a little extra crumble cookie. You know, it's all part of life. It's normal. Anyways, feeling really strong, feeling really good physically. Physical health is good. And I also feel like my mental health is really solid right now. I headed into that pageant weekend. You know, I was very fortunate to have great coaches. I've mentioned this, and I had one coach that was kind of, you know, is everything good? How you feeling? Yada, yada. And I think she even said something like, I'm excited, but I'm nervous. And it was funny because I was like, I'm not nervous. Not that I, like, felt for sure that I was going to win or anything, but I was just like, I have nothing to lose. So I'm like, I'm just not nervous because life is good. Like, this is such a gift to be here. I'm so grateful to be here. So, you know, it's my mental health feels very strong right now. And I was even talking to, you know, some people on my team preparing for nationals, and, like, there's a lot of stress around that, which I get, and I am taking it very seriously. But also, too, I'm like, I'm so lucky to be here. Like, I have so much gratitude that, like, I'm not going to let the stress get in my way. I don't want to do that. So I feel very mentally strong right now, just in life and in general. And I've taken on some extra work projects and stuff. And, you know, I just, there's only so much you can control in life, but you can always control your mindset around what's happening in life. And that's something that I've really learned this last year, 2 years of my life, that I've really tried to hone in on, because it brings me more peace to say, I can't control that, or I'm going to do the best I can do, or I don't know what the judges are going to look for, but I'm going to bring my best self. I'm going to have fun throughout this, because, like, at the end of the day, that's what matters. I talk about it all the time. And I was talking to somebody about nationals coming up, Mrs. American and stuff. And I said, look, I'm not going to fall apart at nationals, because at the end of the day, I get on a plane and I come home to my husband and my daughter, and that doesn't change. Title, you win or you don't, that doesn't change. And that brings me so much peace, because at the end of the day, it's like, those are the most important people to me. And that's, like, and life is good, right? Like, work drama, whatever, all the things like life drama, like, you got your crew, you got your happiness, like you can only control so much, my friends. Anyway, but I watched this movie Inside Out 2, which talks a lot about mindset and what goes on in our heads. Disney nails it 10 out of 10 times. They truly, truly do. And this movie just really impacted me, though, because as in control as I feel right now mentally, I have a history of pretty severe panic attacks. And I'm talking the kind of panic attacks that I cannot get under control and typically need to go to a hospital and just be in a hospital setting to get that under control. And if you've never experienced what I would consider a full-blown panic attack where you have lost control and you cannot calm down, you can't understand it. And I think from an outsider point of view, it can be easy to say, calm down, you're fine, breathe, it's okay. Very simple, right? But when you're in that moment, it's beyond that. And you can't anymore. And you need professional intervention, whether it's going to a hospital and feeling safe and secure in a hospital, or someone scanning and be like, you're not dying, like your heart's fine, like all these things, because you're just so in that moment. And I've experienced these full-blown panic attacks in the past, and they're very difficult to explain to people who have never experienced it. But I felt like when I saw this movie Inside Out 2, I was like, there it is. Disney did a really great job, I think, showing how you lead up to a moment like that and then how it gets out of control. And so this may be a little bit of a spoiler alert. So if you want to go see the Inside Out 2 and you don't want me to give everything away, then you can just tune back in after you've seen it, and then we can dissect it together. But, Inside Out 2, it has the little characters, right? It has Joy, who's kind of your main character, and Sadness, who is up there with her. But you also have disgust, you have fear, and you have anger. And those are kind of the primary emotions that are in the first one, in the very first movie. But in this second one, they bring in some other ones, I think, like boredom, embarrassment is one, and anxiety. And anxiety is kind of, the other main character in this second movie. And it's really cool because it talks about here how this main character, why can't I not think of her name? So it talks about these different emotions in her head, right? And it's following this little girl who's getting a little bit older. And she's always believed in herself, probably because her parents have told her, you're so smart and you're so capable and you're beautiful and all these things that we tell our kids and things like that, or we've been told as kids. And so we have like this positive mindset, but then she starts to get like around these older girls in the movie and anxiety shows up. And anxiety, it's really cute. Like they have this whole scene where anxiety lays out all the possible scenarios and the possible outcomes in the future. And they say this about anxiety, fear, and worry. It's uncertainty. It's fear of the future. You're worrying about something that could happen, not that it has or that it will, but you're painting this picture of the future of what could happen, and that creates anxiety. And so that's really what this movie follows, is this anxiety starts to get out of control, and anxiety comes into her brain, the main character's brain, and starts to kind of take controls from Joy and Sadness and all the things that happen in there, and really become the forefront driver of the emotions, is this like anxiety and this fear and this worry, which starts to change her personality and starts to change kind of the core being of who she is, which is a big piece of the movie as well. And really the culmination or the climax of the movie is that it gets so out of control that anxiety kind of spirals, creates like this tornado inside of her head that then cannot be turned off. And in the movie, she's playing a hockey game and she's sitting in the penalty box, and she's like, you can hear her like breathing heavy. And I was like, I just started getting emotional watching that, because I was like, man, that's what it feels like. That's how it feels like. And she's like in there, and you can hear her breathing pick up. It almost triggered a panic attack, honestly, and me, just because of the association with the experience and the feeling. But in her mind, they like can't shut this tornado anxiety off. Like now it has gotten so out of control that it can't even be shut down or turned off. And that's really what it feels like when anxiety and panic gets to that point. There were a couple times, I'm trying to think, I can't think of maybe the very first time. I do know what triggered my very first panic attack. So I was around the age of 18. I had a boyfriend at that time, probably my first long-term, more serious boyfriend, who ended up cheating on me with another woman. And I was heartbroken. I mean, devastated at that time, had never experienced like that kind of heartbreak. And it triggered a level of anxiety and panic that I had never experienced before. And again, I had shared on previous podcast episodes about I was kind of struggling with my confidence around that time too. So I think to then experience that kind of heartbreak and feel like somebody, my boyfriend at the time chose somebody else over me or was like willing to do that. I think it was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. In the same way in the movie where like it's building, and then something like sets it off, and she had like gotten in trouble at the game, I think in the movie or something like that. That was kind of like what the whole cheating experience had done for me. It was like the trigger that then like created this spiral in my head. So I believe my first panic attack was around that time. But I remember one time specifically a panic attack hitting. I was either at home with my parents or I was visiting for Christmas or the summer or something, because I was in college when all of this started. And I remember just being in like our foyer main room and a panic attack hitting and just like being on the floor, almost in the fetal position, like, I can't calm down. You have to take me to the emergency room. And I just think it's hard when people don't understand what you're experiencing in that moment. And I think eventually my mom probably took me in just to get me to calm down. But it's hard. Like your brain, you lose control of that. I think mental control and what's going on, it's twofold. I think there's a chemical imbalance that goes on in your brain. I know for a fact, as someone who takes medication now to keep anxiety at bay, I had a therapist tell me like, hey, you can't control this completely. There are things you can do, and there are things I do. But at some level of this, there's a chemical imbalance in your brain. And, I take a really low dose of a medication that like keeps it more steady, and it's a beautiful thing. And I went off of it a couple years ago because I was feeling good, and kid you not, 3-4 months later I spiraled almost worse than I have in my whole life. So I believe in the power of medication when it's right for you. I would never tell anybody to shy away from that. I think that with the correct doctor and the correct dosing and the correct drug, then you can find something that really allows you to live a normal life. So very, very fortunate for that. But there's also been like a lot of tools. I think it helps to talk about anxiety, to talk about panic, to talk about what you're afraid of, what you're worried about. I'll never forget, after I had Grayson, so I actually did not get on medication when I was around 18. I didn't actually start medication until I was postpartum with Grayson, and I was seeing a therapist pretty regularly at that point in time, right after Grayson was born. And I told her out loud what I was afraid to say to anybody. I was like, I'm afraid I'm going to die. Every time I get onto a plane, I have this fear that it's going to go down and I'm going to die. I couldn't even bring myself to say, I'm afraid I'm going to die today out loud, because I thought if I said it out loud, I would make it happen. Like, that's how kind of just in my head I was about everything. And I'll never forget, my therapist was like, would you like to not feel that anymore? And I was like, yeah, please. I don't like that feeling. And that's when we started medication, and it just helped so much. And I think once the medication kind of helped, then I had more power to then practice and flex the mind muscle to help keep things under even better control, and then really empower my mind to find the positive in situations. So I've gone through flows. I was talking about the best shape of my life. I also feel like mentally we cycle in life, right? And it depends on our certain situation in life, how things are going, because Sometimes things are tough. You're in between jobs, or maybe you are experiencing heartbreak or loss or something like that. It can be obviously way more challenging to control the mind in those types of situations than when life is glorious and great. But the more you practice positive mindset, positive affirmations, thinking about the good in the situation, gratitude, I have found in my own experience that just the worries in general carry less weight and less pressure in my life. I dealt with a lot of panic and anxiety during COVID, especially because there was a lot of that talk around people with diabetes being more likely to die from COVID. I saw friends lose family members. I lost family members to COVID. So there was a lot of fear around that. And then when I did eventually end up getting COVID myself, it was pretty severe. I mean, I wasn't in the hospital, but I was the sickest I have ever been in my whole life. And so coming and recovering from that, which was a very long process for me. I think I was out from CycleBar for at least 6 weeks, and I used an inhaler for 4 months after that, but I experienced some panic around then. But the great thing is, once you know what it is, you know what it is. And I'll remember there was one day I was trying to get back into riding at CycleBar, and I was taking a class. I wasn't teaching it. And I started to ride, and 2 to 3 songs in, I was like, I'm having a panic attack. And I think it was just the anxiety of the situation, overwhelming everything, the fact that it was like hard to ride. And so I left and I called my mom. I was like, I'm going to the emergency room. I know it's a panic attack, but it is a panic attack, and it's picking up in severity, and I need to get off the highway, and I need to get into somewhere. I think I went to an urgent care, so I didn't go to an emergency room, but I just went in and I was like, I'm having a panic attack. Like, I need somebody to calm me down. And they were so great. And I think too, like, I've in any situation, anytime I've had a panic attack and I've had to reach out for like professional help just to help get me to calm down, everybody's been so great. Like, from the medical side of things, I've never had a doctor or anyone say, oh, just calm down. Like, I think which I'm so grateful for. There's an understanding that, panic can get out of control, and just the calmness and the reassurance can really help ground you in those moments. So I'm so grateful for that. But, since COVID and stuff, I don't know, I feel like I'm just mentally in this place where you realize like what's really, really important in life. And as I mentioned, you realize that there are things that you can control and things you can't control. And so my summer plate has gotten really full, and I've taken on some things, and I've had some moments where I'm like, God, like this is going to be so stressful. But every time like I hear that in my mind, every time I'm like, this is going to be stressful, I stop myself and I'm like, it'll be fine. You'll get it done, Samantha. You always get it done. This is no exception. And so whether or not I feel that in the moment, I say that stuff to myself. I think there's power in the positive affirmations. There's power in how you talk to yourself. Joe my husband gives me so much grief because I have positive affirmations hanging all over the house, especially places that I visit. So I have like positive affirmations hanging on my mirror in my bathroom. I have positive affirmations on the coffee pot because I get coffee every day. I have positive affirmations all around my computer workspace, things that I want to achieve, things I want to manifest, things that make me feel good. Like all of this stuff, I have positive affirmations on the background of my phone. So every time I look down at my phone, I see it, I read it. Like, the repetition is really important. That's really how you convince yourself and you get over negative mindset. I don't want to say you can't ever feel negative. Okay, I don't think that's good to like any negative feeling. Like, we have to have it. Hello, Inside Out #1. You can't have joy without sadness. Like, you can have multiple emotions as it relates to different situations, but I think it's up to you, it's up to me. When we have negative emotions or we experience a negative feeling, we get to decide how long we want to hold on to that. And you may want to hold on to it for a little bit. Maybe that just feels good. It feels good to be angry. We've talked about this, where anger inspires change. It motivates and things like that. So not all quote unquote negative emotions are a bad thing. They all kind of make us up. They make us who we are. But we also get to decide for how long we let that specific emotion drive us. So for the moments where I'm like, man, Sam, like your summer is about to be really, really busy. Should you have done this? Like, what if it doesn't fall through? I'm like, okay, I can sit in that place of anxiety, fear. What if it doesn't fall through? What if I can't? Or I can say, I take it day by day. We're just going to get it done this summer and we'll get done what we can get done. And at the end of the day, I come home, my husband, my daughter, we're good. Like, so, really teaching your mind to not hold on to things, I think is also really important when it comes to that positive mindset. Seeing it, I love the idea. I've talked about this. I talked about this with Calliope when she talked about depression. But seeing the emotion that you're feeling or the negative thought or the worry or the anxiety, acknowledging it and then moving on or letting it go. Someone told me once, I really, really loved this. She said, shine light on the doubt because darkness cannot exist in the light. And I really liked that because I was headed into the Mrs. Ohio America pageant. I was trying to keep a really positive mindset. I was trying to manifest and all this stuff, but then I would have these negative thoughts come up. What if I don't win? What if it's not me? What does that look like? And I talked to a friend and she said, don't deny those thoughts, recognize it and say, okay, I see that. I see that there's this fear that you're not going to win. I acknowledge it. I'm shining a light on it. I see it. Got it. But I know that I've got what it takes. I know that I can do this, right? And then, flipping it or recognizing it. Shine a light on the doubt. Shine a light on the negative emotions. See it, recognize and say, wow, that's a negative thought. Recognizing it, not letting it take over, and then moving on. So, anyway, I've just been thinking a lot about the mindset, especially since seeing Inside Out 2. And plus, too, mindset has been huge for me in this pageant experience. There are millions of gorgeous women. There are millions of women who can walk well in high heels. There are millions of women who can crush their interview. So for me, when I'm like, what can I do? What can I control? What can be my upper hand in something like this? And what I come back to is mindset. I feel good. I feel calm. That's what I can control. And knowing that I have gratitude, regardless of the outcome, creates peace in the situation and the ability for me to really show up in an authentic way and a way that's going to allow me to truly enjoy it. And embracing this and bringing this idea into all aspects of life, work projects, home life, all these different things can really help create for a positive mindset. So Disney crushes it every single time. They did a great job with Inside Out 2. If you haven't seen it, the first one, Inside Out 2, I absolutely love this little movie series. I hope they make a third. I don't know what we could talk about in that, but really, really great stuff. So best shape of your life, physically, mentally, but there's always room to go up. Never stop climbing to the top, my friends. Hey, have a great day. You deserve it.